Thank you so much for being one of the 20,000 videographers, video editors, or video enthusiasts subscribed to this channel. As a thank you, in this video, I'm going to be doing a giveaway of some of my digital products. I have some very exciting announcements for you about the future of this channel, and I'm going to be answering some of your most asked questions, so make sure to stick around. I want to start this off by making a couple announcements about the channel, specifically ways that you can get more involved in determining the content that I post and subsequently share on the channel with you. And the first announcement is channel memberships are coming to the channel. I've finally got around to making these and launching them. It's a feature of YouTube that I've been super pumped on. So for 99 cents a month, you can join the squad, which gets you priority reply to comments, because honestly, as this channel has grown and my time has become less and less with work getting more busy and YouTube taking more time, I just haven't been able to get to every single comment. And then you also get custom emojis down in the comment section. I already got some pretty funny ones made up. You can go check those out as well if you click that little join button on my main channel page, which is how you become a member. And we're also going to get loyalty badges so you can show how long you've been a member of the squad for. And we're going to start doing some members only polls on this channel so that you can have more of a say in the types of videos that I put out by letting me know in these polls that are going to be coming out weekly. If you want to join the squad, just go check it out on my channel page. Right next to where that subscribe button is, there's going to be a button that says join. I'll also put a link down in the description if that's something I can do. I'm not super familiar with that, but it'll be down there, so go check it out. And the second announcement I have for this channel is that we are starting up live streaming. I'm going to do a monthly Q&A live stream, kind of like a videography helpline, on the first Friday of every month. This is going to start off as something that's just open to anyone to pop on in, and you can basically just come ask me your questions and we'll just talk about stuff, and I can commit a couple hours of my time every month specifically to deep diving any questions that you have and making sure I answer them thoroughly. In the future, I do want to make this a members feature at a higher tier, so if you're a member, you get to comment and give me your questions, but I'm not super well versed in live streaming on YouTube, so as I kind of dip my toes into this, I want to just open it up to everyone so that I can have fun with it and figure it out and get used to being on a live stream versus making a YouTube video like this that I go edit later. And they can build up some momentum and you guys can get used to the format as well. I think it's a really healthy way to start this. So that's going to be happening on Friday, December 1st at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And then on the first Friday of every month at 7 p.m., I'm going to keep doing these monthly live streams to answer all your questions. So come prepared with your questions. I'll make more posts about this on Instagram and all that. But get your questions ready and I will see you in the live stream then. Be there or be square. I don't know why I said that. I'll just cut that earlier. But speaking of questions, you guys did give me a lot of questions on Instagram. So I'm going to go through some of them. They're all on my phone here. And we'll just kind of pick here and there, kind of informally. But the first one that really caught my eye was, what was your first camera you used for sports and how did you progress from there? So the first camera that I used for sports was the Canon 70D. I think I wanted a camera that could do 60 frames per second for under $1,000 back in like 2018, and I was already in the Canon system and I didn't want to like change my lenses and all that over for whatever reason. I don't know why. I was like very invested because I had like a Canon T3i and I just like didn't want to have to learn something new. I wanted to get a camera that I knew. So I grabbed the Canon 70D and like it was cool. I made my first videos on it. It definitely wasn't a bad camera, but looking back on it, would I have started with that camera? No, I would have just got like a Sony a6400 or something like that. And then I used the Canon 70D for like a year and a half, I believe. And it might have almost been 2 years actually, but it's like a year and a half, 2 years. And then I got a Sony a7 III, and the a7 III, if you've watched this channel from the jump, like way back when I was with the CEBL and all that, that camera was a workhorse for me. I used that thing for like at least 2 or 3 years, it feels like. I think it was right before the pandemic that I got that, so 2020, and I would have sold it like late 2022, so like 2.5 years with the a7 III. And then after that I sold that camera, I kind of went a little nuts. I got the a7 IV, and then like 6 months later I got the FX30, and I still use both of those. And I'm currently also using the FX3 from my job. So I've got like 3 cameras that I kind of have like in the rotation right now: the a7 IV, the FX30, and the FX3. And I use them all and they're all great. Next question here is from LexMac902. How saturated is the sports videography market in your opinion? Is there plenty of work or question mark? I feel like even when I started, like 5-6 years ago. The market for filming sports videos is saturated. Most creative jobs in general are going to have saturated markets. Like, these are jobs that people want to do. They're fun jobs. Like, don't get me wrong, it's still hard work, but I love what I do and I wouldn't trade it for anything. Like, it's tons of fun to film and edit sports videos. That's likely why you're watching this channel. And because of that, it's always going to be saturated. But just because a market's saturated doesn't mean you can't make it. If your goal is to do something professionally, like, there's plenty of ways you can start and build your skills. And although there's a lot of people who want to do it, there's not necessarily a lot of people who are going to stick with something and really work at it and become super proficient at it for years on end. So although getting started, there might be a lot of people in those beginner ranks. As you progress and you film for more than just your local school for free, and you start getting clients and you start building a reputation in your community and you start getting better editing skills and getting recognized online, the opportunities are going to present themselves. It's just a matter of like sticking with it and really getting very proficient to the point that you separate yourself within your circle, within your community, become known for something, or be recognized as a professional by your peers. That's the type of stuff that's going to help you really make it, because a lot of people just go on, honestly, people they can trust and people who they like to work with. And if you have good skills, people trust your work, and you're a good person to work with, then no matter how saturated it is, I think that you're going to be able to find a place. We have another question here from Elserwinski. I'm probably butchering these names, but I don't know what sound that LNC is supposed to make. But anyways, Elserwinski asks, how did you start working for the CFL? And this is like not that complicated. Over time, I just built up a portfolio of work. Initially, I got like really specialized into basketball because that's what I played in high school. And I naturally then, for those same coaches, started filming later on in life. And then I got a job with a basketball league as a result of that very specialized basketball portfolio. And then I just kind of kept freelancing and doing like all types of different projects, like product videos and sit down interviews and weddings, like all this stuff. And by the time that an opportunity was posted on the CFL's website looking for a video person, I had worked for a professional league or a semi-professional league in Canada for a year to a year and a half. I had done a ton of work in sports, and I demonstrated proficiency in areas outside of sports so that I was just good with a camera. And between my experience with a league, my experience in sport, and my general proficiency with videography, I was a natural fit. So I just applied to the CFL job, interviewed really well, and I actually do have a video on interviewing that you can check out right here if you want to see some of my tips for that. It wasn't like I was like super tight with the person who was hiring and then just got given the job or anything like that. You know what I mean? Like, it was really just like I applied, and the people who were hiring were like familiar with me from me just like being around all the time and working, but I wouldn't say that we knew each other at the time. So yeah, really just like building experiences and shooting my shot, honestly. I like this question from C Crosby 14. How important is the difference between 4K 60 and 4K 120? Is it worth getting a more expensive camera body? And if you're talking about sports specifically, and I'm going to start there because that's really what we talk about here for the most part, then like it's important, but it's not make or break by any stretch of the imagination. For key moments, for the big plays, for the really important stuff, I love having 4K 120 frame per second footage available to me. There's no denying that the 4K 120 that comes out of these new cameras like the FX30 and the FX3 and the A7S III looks really good. Like, that's not debatable. But also 4K 60 is fantastic. You don't need to slow everything down to 20% speed. And as a matter of fact, most of the shots that you use in an edit aren't going to get slowed down to 20% speed. So I find myself filming at 4K 60 most of the time, even though I have the ability to film 4K 120, because it's just not necessary a lot of the time, and I don't want to waste space for no reason. And then if I'm filming football, for example, if a team gets to the red zone or we're close to scoring a touchdown, or if we get into the fourth quarter and it's crunch time, then I switch to filming in 4K 120. But I'm not always filming in 4K 120 no matter what. And if we're talking like videography in general, then deciding how badly you need 120 frames per second slow motion in a high resolution is really just up to you. If you film a lot of like corporate stuff and like talking headshots and that type of thing, then you don't really need 120 frames per second for much of anything. You're mostly going to be filming in 24 frames per second. I think it's those like high action type of things that you're filming where you're going to want it. Like if you're filming BMX races, yeah, you definitely want 120 frames per second. Like you need that to be an option for you. But for most things, I would say that it's a nice to have and not necessary. So deciding whether you want to get it or not really just depends on how much money you have, what you're filming, and how much you can justify spending right now. All right, this next question is from Isaiah.tuck. Do you still think Premiere is better than DaVinci? And this stems from a video I posted recently where I color graded in DaVinci Resolve and showed you my process for that, and you can watch that up here. But I never really thought that Premiere was better than DaVinci Resolve. And I don't think DaVinci Resolve is better than Premiere either. I just think that they're good at different things. Although they're both very capable, just have like slightly different benefits to them. DaVinci Resolve obviously is great for color grading, and I'm not going to try to pretend like Premiere is better than DaVinci Resolve for color grading, because like I can outright say DaVinci Resolve is a more powerful tool for color grading than Premiere Pro. But that being said, you can still make shots look great in Premiere, and there's a wealth of color grading tools there. So it's not like a bad program for color grading by any stretch of the imagination. And DaVinci Resolve is perfectly good for cutting your footage and creating a solid edit. The benefit that I see to Premiere, one, is most of the people I work with are on the Adobe Creative Cloud. So giving projects to people, working back and forth with people when we're all in the same software, and there's Photoshop files being passed around and After Effects files and all this type of stuff. And Premiere just works with all of that seamlessly. And the other editors who are on Premiere can work with my project files seamlessly. Makes a big difference to my workflow. So that's like one of the main reasons I'm on Premiere. Being able to go from Premiere into After Effects, or Premiere into Photoshop, or Premiere into Audition, depending on if you're working with video, photo, or audio in Premiere Pro, and then have that link back automatically, saves me a lot of time when I'm editing. I really enjoy that. And although Adobe is very expensive, and I know people complain about their programs being buggy and crashing, I do genuinely think that their programs are really useful. I've literally built a career using their programs, so there's no way I could say otherwise, honestly. And I'm just used to them. They work and they're widely available and widely used, so that's what I use. But hey, if you're just learning and you want to pick something that's not going to cost you an arm and a leg every month, then go ahead, learn DaVinci Resolve. It's a one-time payment for the pro version, or you can get the free version. And trust me, it is perfectly capable, just like Adobe Premiere is also perfectly capable. Used or new lenses, used or new camera bodies. And for lenses, I'm definitely saying used, because lenses are more of an optical thing. They're not like a super technological based being like a camera body with tiny parts and so many things that can go wrong. The technology that goes into a lens doesn't like evolve super quickly over time. So a lens that's 10 years old is still very usable today. And I have lenses that are many years old and still use. But a camera body that's 10 years old is pretty much irrelevant and not something you can use today, because that technology evolves so quickly. And because of that, lenses do a really good job of holding their value. So you can buy a lens, use it for a year or two, and then sell it for a similar amount of money that you paid for it initially. So for that purpose, I would say lenses just like always go used, unless there's a brand new lens that came out and you really want it and it's not on the used market yet and you have to have it, then buy it new. But otherwise, just get it used. And camera bodies, there's kind of two sides to this coin. New, obviously, you get something that's never been touched before. It's a fresh shutter. It's in perfect condition and you can do with it what you want. Used, if you're buying from a reputable source like B&H or something like that, and they give you the condition of the camera, the shutter count, any defects with it, there's like a return policy, then I think you're safe to go used as long as it's the camera that you want. But used off of like the internet from someone else, for camera bodies, it's kind of tough because you don't really know the shutter count. You don't really know what's happened to this camera. You don't really know if there's any problems, and you might not dig all the problems up in 5 minutes of just testing the thing before you pass over a bunch of money for it. And that's challenging. So I would say camera bodies used from a reputable source with a good return policy that's very transparent with you, or just get it new. Lenses, as as long as you test a lens, like put it on the body, check the front and the back elements, take some photos or videos with it, move the focus and the zoom rings to make sure they're not stiff and there's nothing caught in it, then you're probably fine going used. All right, let's rapid fire through a few questions here and just get a bunch of these answered. So Eli_Ann asks, shooting basketball, do you record each play in a new clip or let it record for a few plays in a clip? And after every made basket or at every whistle, I stop the clip and then start a new one later. So I end up with a bunch of clips over the course of a game, not just one or two big ones. Con_Nesbit says, out of the 3 main cameras you use, what would be your recommendation? I'm currently using an A6500. If you want one camera that can do everything and you just want like one camera, I would get the A7 IV because it's great for photo, it's great for video. It films in 4K 60, which is awesome for sports, and I used this for a whole year filming for the CFL, and it was fantastic. You can film great talking headshots like this, and it kind of just does it all for you. If you're video specific and you don't care about photo, the FX3 is a great option if you have the money for it. The FX30 is a good option if you have a little bit less money or don't want to spend as much. And you can benefit from the reach that you get from a crop sensor. Decoy_edits, what types of information would you include on a resume when applying for video work? I would just put your history of places you've worked or clients that you've had if you're freelance, and some of the projects that you've done, maybe outline them very briefly. And in like a very short bullet point, touch on specific skills that you've used in those jobs. But your resume honestly isn't as important for video jobs as your portfolio is. So I think it's important to have a very concise resume that shows what you've done in a very small section, and then a really great, well built out portfolio website that's going to get you a lot more work than having some masterfully crafted resume and an average portfolio. Do you convert to Rec 709 to use your LUTs? What's your node tree for Resolve? So you don't convert to Rec 709 to use my LUTs. You can just apply them right to your S-Log footage. They're creative LUTs and they're going to give you more of a stylized look. Then you just have to white balance them in case your white balance was off, and adjust the exposure in case you weren't exposing 1.67 stops over for S-Log 3. What's your node tree for Resolve? That is linked right up here. I go over it in a lot of detail in a recent video that I did, so go check that out. It's a bit too much for me to explain right now, if I'm being honest. What's your dream camera setup if you were given a blank check? And I had to think about this one a little bit, but it would definitely be the Arria Mira, if for nothing else, because that's the NFL Films camera, and having like a full NFL film setup would just be sweet. I know there's a Fujinon 20 to 120 mil lens that you can go on with that camera, and I only know that because I'm a nerd and I love that type of stuff. But I would get that lens, and then if there's like a 300 mil prime or something like that that exists that I could put on that camera, that'd be awesome for getting like those super cinematic, ultra tight shots. And I would just rock that camera and those two lenses forever and be super happy and treat it like my baby. But unfortunately, I'm probably never getting that camera or those lenses because it's way too much money. But hey, if I ever win the lottery, the Arria Mira upgrade video is going to be coming out on this channel first. So keep your eyes peeled, I guess. So that's going to be all for this video. I hope you enjoyed sitting down with me. And again, thank you so much for being one of the 20,000 subscribers to this channel. That is assuming you're subscribed. If you're not, you definitely should, because I post videography and video editing tips and tutorial videos similar to this one on a regular basis, and I'd love to have you around for that. Channel memberships, like I said, are open. So if you want to support the channel and you want to shape the direction of this channel in the future, then go to my channel page and click join, or go check that out at the link in the description. And with regards to this giveaway, I'm giving away 3 copies of all the digital assets that I have. That's the football video LUT pack for football and outdoor videos, the sports video LUT pack for indoor sports and court sports, and the ultimate paper texture pack to get that cool papered gritty overlay type of feel in your videos. So all you got to do if you want to try to win that is comment down below, and whatever you comment, and make sure you include your Instagram handle, and then also follow me on Instagram, and that way I can check if you actually followed. And then from those people, I'm gonna pick 3 people that'll be announced next Monday, so 1 week from when this video comes out. I'll DM the people who win on Instagram, and I'll make a community post here so that everyone can see who won. And then I'll get you guys your codes and you'll get all the products, and that's going to be how that works. But yeah, that's kind of all I got for you this video. So until next time, peace.